Ron, we received this anonymous email from this listener. Said, have a neighbor, female, that's a Lutheran pastor. I was raised with a literal interpretation of 1 Timothy 2. In my interpretation, states that women should not be preaching in church. What is your interpretation of this passage? Thank you.
Well, that's a great question. In 1 Timothy 2, verses 11 and 12, we read that a woman should learn in quietness and full submission. I, the Apostle Paul, do not permit a woman to teach or to have authority over a man. She must be silent. Now, one of the liberal ways of explaining this is that back in Bible times, women had not been properly educated. Hence, because 20th century women are better trained and qualified, and 21st century, and beyond, that means that this no longer holds true. That because education was the problem, that is no longer a problem today, and therefore women can become pastors of the church. I don't see it that way. I think that Paul is actually arguing theologically that a woman is not to have authority in a church, and he's basically arguing from Genesis. And his reasoning is something like this. Adam was created first as the head. Eve was created second, but she fell first. Therefore, women are under some restriction. Now, that's kind of a very quick summary of Paul's overall argument. Now, I want to be very careful here, Susie, because I don't think that Paul is talking about any kind of an absolute silence of women. I think he's talking about women as the head of the church. There's other cases where women are very clearly teaching, including teaching men. For example, apparently Priscilla, along with her husband Aquila, taught Apollos. Apollos was a man who was very well, understood in terms of the scriptures, but he needed to be trained more. And so Priscilla, along with her husband Aquila, trained Apollos, according to Acts 18, verse 26. And so the passage in 1 Timothy really doesn't apply to that. I would say that Priscilla was probably teaching under the headship of Aquila. That's probably true. But I would also say that women are certainly not forbidden to personally address fellow believers, both male and female, to their edification and exhortation and comfort. You see that in 1 Corinthians 14, verse 3. Women are certainly not forbidden to teach women, Titus 2, verses 3 and 4. They can teach children, 2 Timothy 1:5 and 3:14. They can take part in a variety of fruitful ministries, Romans 16:3, and actually the rest of the 16th chapter of Romans. There's a number of verses in there. So all I'm saying is that women serve God in quite a number of different ways, but they do so within the authority structure that he designed within the church, which involves male headship, a male pastor. That's the way I see it, Susie. I understand that there are Christians who have a different view. And for those Christians who have a different view than me, I love you. And we can agree to disagree in an agreeable way, and we certainly agree on a whole lot more than we may disagree on, and so we can certainly maintain a unity of the Spirit despite any differences that there may exist on this issue.
Appreciate that so much. Hopefully that was helpful to you. And in the interest of full disclosure, I once in a while am asked to give the message at my church on a Sunday morning. Typically I speak at women's conferences. I also see many godly, amazing women leaders on staff at different churches, mine included. And I'm not the Bible expert that Ron is, but I just wouldn't probably.
But you're doing it under the authority structure of your church,
yes,
right?
Exactly. And I was going to say, I personally wouldn't attend a church with a senior pastor as a woman. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't. Ron's the one who could list off the scripture as to why. I'm just saying I wouldn't be comfortable with it. So that's that. That's good.